Professors FM.
I'm Bridget Stomberg.
And I'm Lisa DeSimone.
And this is Taxes for the Masses.
Today's episode is on the recent trend of declining interest in the accounting profession.
Over the past several years, colleges and universities in the United States have experienced declining enrollments in accounting degree programs and a resulting decline in accounting professionals. In today's episode, we discuss the causes and consequences of reduced interest in the accounting profession.
Hello, B.
Hello, Lisa.
It's nice to be here with you in sunny Arizona.
It is beautiful here. I think early spring in Arizona is the best time of year to be here. It's not too hot. It's not too cold. The desert flowers are blooming. It's really very nice.
It is lovely. Yes. And on top of all of that, the academic conference we're attending here in Tempe happens to coincide with one of my favorite events of the year, Major League Baseball spring training.
Yes, and I learned a lot about Major League Baseball.
Oh, did you?
Training. I did. So for starters, I learned that it's basically the equivalent of the NFL preseason.
For baseball.
For baseball.
Okay.
For some reason in my brain, I thought that it had something to do with the minor league.
I mean, some of the players are trying to make the majors here in spring training.
Okay, I guess I thought it was exclusively
minor.
that.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Exclusively that. So it was a learning day for me. It was good.
It was an amazing day for me because after our many, many, many years of being friends and you imposing your NFL on me through, NFL Sundays in the PhD program or trying to get me to pick a team this past season. After all of this time spent on NFL, I finally got you to sit through an entire baseball game.
You did all 9 innings.
How did you stay awake?
Because I wanted to be a good sport. It's something that you really like. And so I wanted to be present and have a positive mental attitude about it.
And you did. I was really impressed by that.
Did.
You asked astute questions.
I thought you were going to say a stupid question.
I went the complete opposite direction and I meant it. You asked good questions and it was a lot of fun.
It was hot.
Yeah. Yes. But I still had a good time.
I did too. All right. So moving on to our topic for today, something that's probably less fun, less positive.
Okay.
Is discussing the recent trend of declining accounting enrollments.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about how this trend is impacting the accounting industry. And also, I think what I'm most excited about, I want to talk a little bit about why we think this is happening.
Yes.
Because we can't solve a problem unless we know why the problem exists. So let's kick it off with a description of the trend. I think I've been kind of avoiding reading the articles. I see the headlines, but I haven't dived into it.
Haven't dived? I don't know.
Something about past tense of diving. But you have. So you've got the numbers for us.
I've got the numbers.
How bad is it?
It's bad.
Okay. So I was afraid you were going to say that.
It's pretty bad. So we're going to start with accounting enrollments because that's how traditionally we fill this profession of accountants.
Yep.
And if we look at the last 10 years of data, which goes back to the 2012-2013 academic school year and then up to 2021-2022.
Okay.
So over that 10-year period, undergraduate enrollments in accounting dropped just under 17% on average.
Okay. Ouch. That's not great.
No.
But I think, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, that it's actually a little bit smaller than the decline that we're seeing at some of like the really good programs. So I know you've told me at University of Texas, which has traditionally been a really big accounting program, the decline has been bigger. So what do you know about the decline at the high end?
At the high end, I think we're looking 20 to even 50%.
50%.
50%.
Okay. Yikes.
Over the last, say, 5 years.
Okay. That's a big drop.
Now, to be fair, total undergraduate enrollments in any field of study declined 13%.
That is a good point. We hear talk about this enrollment cliff
Yep.
and a general decline. And okay, so that's good. So we're down across the board, but
Yep. And, there's some reasons for this. COVID effect.
Yeah.
High cost of higher education. A lot of talk about student loans and the burden
yeah.
that puts on people, right? So, there might be a number of reasons driving fewer and fewer students into universities and colleges generally. I think that cliff that people are talking about is actually a demographic change that we expect coming up, which is that our graduating high school classes so far have been increasing, but that's expected to stop in the next year or two.
yeah. Okay. So you're pointing out that we have declining enrollments in higher education generally.
Yes.
13% roughly.
Yep.
But the accounting degree seekers are declining more.
Yes.
17% on average, sometimes as high as 50%. I'm going to guess that is not a great sign for the accounting profession.
No, it's not. Because the enrollments are a key determinant of getting those certified public accountants that we want. And so when you look at candidates for the CPA exam, and that's the certification that, you need to do public accounting, the number of first-time candidates sitting for the CPA exam has declined 33% in the most recent 5 years of data.
Yowza.
Which is 2016 to 2021.
Okay. 17% fewer people interested in accounting, 33% fewer people sitting for the CPA exam.
Yep.
The number of accounting professionals in the U.S. is also down about 16% from 2009.
Yep. And so all that says that we have fewer people entering the profession of accounting.
Check.
Unfortunately, we also have a problem.
There's more bad news
on the exiting side.
Yeah.
Yes.
So the Bureau of Labor Statistics indicates that some 300,000 accountants quit their jobs between 2019 and 2021 during what some people have dubbed the Great Resignation. And you'll never guess, but that's also a 16% decline in the number of working accounting professionals. And that's not even the worst news.
It gets worse than that?
Well, I'm talking, so yes, it gets worse. Whenever I have something to say, it's usually getting worse.
Do go on.
Yes. According to the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants, about 75% of those working accountants, so the number's already down, and then 75% of that number that's left reached retirement age in 2020.
Oh, wow.
So the Great Resignation could be followed by a great retirement trend in accounting at the back of people's careers, with a declining number of people entering the pipeline at the front end of their careers.
Okay, so now some of you might be thinking, all right, so we established there are fewer accountants out there. Seems like this trend is not stopping. So what? How does that impact ordinary listeners and the world at large?
Well, I mean, parties are going to get a lot less fun. Because accountants are...
Because we're known for our parties.
We bring it.
Okay.
Okay, so maybe not that. So it could be that we had too many accountants.
Yes.
Okay, and this is the labor market self-correcting. If we're trying to put a positive spin on it, we could say that.
Okay.
But again, I'm talking, so we're not going to put a positive spin on that.
Fair.
That was just a lie. That doesn't really seem to be the case. So according to one survey, 99%, which is almost 100%, of the country's top accounting firm managers claim that they cannot fill the job openings that they have in the U.S. for accountants. So this is not a self-correcting issue. It's not like we had too many and now we don't, we got the right amount. It's we don't have enough.
We have a shortage. So let's talk a little bit why that matters.
Okay. So for starters, as you know, it's spring training, and that also coincides with tax season.
Also, another reason this is my favorite time of year.
You are such a weirdo.
Yeah. Your point.
Oh. Just stating a fact.
What is better than March Madness, spring training, and doing your taxes all at the same time? It's the perfect trifecta of fun.
You are such a weirdo. As I was saying, it's tax season, and the cost of tax prep services is up.
Yes.
So this is one way that an accounting shortage can directly impact a lot of Americans at a time when they really need help.
Okay. Yep.
Tax professionals are charging new clients 25% more than they were charging just 2 or 3 years ago. And there's a similar increase in fees for repeat clients. So fewer people are available to do the tax prep work, and less of a supply of something usually causes the price of that thing to go up, holding demand constant.
Right. Now we've also had inflation.
What? I'm sorry. I didn't. Okay.
You hadn't noticed?
No.
Okay.
No, I didn't notice that you and I paid $28 for salads yesterday. That escaped me entirely.
A piece. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So inflation could be playing some role here, but it doesn't sound to me like that was a 25% increase.
No, I would agree with that. So one effect of declining accounting professionals is that it makes tax prep services more expensive for people like you and me.
I refuse to pay other people to do my taxes.
Sorry,
so,
I knew that.
Yeah.
Let me say that again.
Okay.
So declining accounting professionals makes tax prep services more expensive for people like me.
Better. Thank you.
Okay. And that's just the tax side of things, right? So I know when a lot of people think of CPAs, they tend to think of like, oh, it's the person who helps me prepare my tax return. But certified public accountants do a lot more.
Yep.
And the tax side of it probably isn't the worst side of it, because the economy isn't going to come to a screeching halt if some overworked accountant messes up my tax return.
Probably not.
Probably not.
Yeah.
But if an overworked accountant misses a material issue when providing audit services,
Oh, yeah.
say for a large publicly traded corporation, well, that could have significant economic ramifications. Do we all remember a little company called Enron?
Yeah. Yes. And that's exactly what I would argue is really at stake here, because users of financial statements, they rely on managers to report those numbers faithfully,
Yes.
accurately. And those managers and all of the users of financial statements also then rely on the auditor
Yep.
to assure that those financial statements are free of any issues. So it's a pretty important role in the economy if you think about, our economy driven by capital markets.
100%. So fewer qualified professionals available to audit these large companies means those who are available are likely overworked, even more so than they were when you and I were in practice.
Yep.
There's also been an increase in the extent to which public accounting firms are making up for the shortage of U.S. accounting professionals by shifting more of this auditing work to their colleagues overseas.
Yeah. And one of my students here at the University of Texas, PhD candidate Caitlin Krager's dissertation is all about this, the practice of public accounting firms offshoring some of their work, how that trend is rising. And importantly, she finds audit quality appears like it might suffer a little bit because of the practice. And I'm hoping she'll come talk to us more about that as a guest on a future episode.
I hope so too. I can't wait.
Well, you're going to have to.
All right, we've established that there are fewer people entering the accounting profession and more people leaving the accounting profession. We've also hinted at rising costs of accounting services like tax preparation being a result, as well as concerns over potentially declining audit quality. So now we're going to talk about why.
Why?
Why is this happening?
Why is this happening?
So I'll start because we're talking about how lovely it is to be in Tempe in March. And I don't know if our listeners know this. I used to live here for 7 years. While ago. I did not get to enjoy Tempe in March because I was working 14 hours a day at a public accounting firm. So I'm going to say that maybe one reason why people are not interested in getting jobs, especially in public accounting, is because of the long hours.
Sure. Yep. Not just the long hours, but also stressful long hours. But that's like one season, right? That's one part of the year. I think the perception is that it's that all year long.
Yeah, and I think it definitely depends on what your job is at the firm. But I also think that the stressful part of it rings true for the same reasons that we just talked about. Like one of the reasons I left public accounting was because I was involved on the audit side of things, even though tax was my main focus. I would audit the income tax provision.
Yep.
And I remember like dreaming about making mistakes in somebody's income tax provision. And what would that mean if a client had to restate their financial statements because I missed something in the income tax expense line? So it really was stressful, especially
Yeah.
during a busy season when you're auditing multiple clients and you're working those long hours and you get exhausted and you feel like you are missing something because you are exhausted. So I think that the long hours is real, the stress is real. And then there's the big B word. Boring.
Oh, yes. Uh-huh. Yes.
I think that accounting is generally viewed as a boring profession.
And do you think it's a boring profession?
Well, heck no.
Gosh darn it. It's
Golly
the
gee.
swellest profession in the world.
It really is. But this is a place where like the popular culture is not helping us out, right?
I don't think it is. I don't think you see a lot of sexy portrayals of accountants.
No. You don't even see accountants on a lot of shows, but like The Office is one that comes to mind. And what was that? Was Angela, Kevin, and Oscar?
Kevin's not doing accountants any favors at all.
Nor is Angela.
Yeah,
No.
fair. Yes.
I think we need a show like Suits for public accounting to make it seem more exciting and
All right.
a little sexier.
Playing the role of Professor Bridget Stomberg, Tina Fey.
Oh, yes, please. I would also take Anna Kendrick if we're going to play me younger.
Oh, I like that. On top of the long hours and the stress and the perceptions of accounting, not being the sexiest profession in the world, when you boil it down to the pure numbers, it can be a tough sell to sell a student on accounting.
Say more things.
So that CPA that we talked about requires 150 hours
Oh, yeah. Okay.
of coursework. And that's the equivalent of 5 years of college.
Yes, because at least in the state of Indiana, by law, an undergrad degree can't require more than 120 credit hours.
Yeah. So an undergraduate typical 4-year degree is 120.
Yep.
This is like getting a whole extra year of coursework in. So that's a whole extra year of a person's life and a whole extra year of tuition.
Yep.
With no guarantee that you're actually going to pass the exam.
Or that you're even going to get into the master's program that's going to get you those last 30 credit hours that you need.
Excellent point. Yes. So we're asking people to take on this risk of time and expense for no certain payoff. And the kicker is that after doing all of this, they're going to make less than their friends who graduated with a finance degree, making on average about $20,000 more, according to the data we can find.
And I think this is where, so I agree with everything that we've said is true. There's a perception problem. Some of it is reality. But here's the thing that I don't understand. Maybe you can riddle me this, Batman. 20 years ago when I was getting an accounting degree, all of this stuff was true. Perception that it was hard, that it was boring. You had to have the 150 credit hours. You knew you were going to have to take this miserable CPA exam that was way worse 20 years ago than it is now. But we made more money than anybody else who was graduating with a business degree. Like the accounting majors coming out of the University of Florida made $10,000 to $15,000 more than anybody else.
Right.
Why do you think that has changed?
I don't have a good answer for you.
I don't either. It's like, and I don't want to just say to the accounting firms, like, you just have to pay more, but is it really that simple? Like, do they just have to pay more?
I don't think paying more is going to hurt. Is it going to be enough to solve the problem? Probably not, right? If we have perception problems too, then with the graduating generation, like there's no amount of money that you could pay them to do it, right? So we have to change a few things, but I don't think higher salaries are going to make the problem worse.
No, it's a step in the right direction.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm getting depressed, and I don't want to be depressed because it's a lovely day outside. What is the profession doing to try to combat this problem? So let's be fair. They have increased wages.
Yes.
They just haven't done it at a rate that is keeping up with like the finance jobs, and in some cases, even the marketing jobs.
Yep.
So other than throwing money at the problem, what are some things that the profession has done to address the shortage?
I think it's offering more flexibility to its employees by allowing remote work, right? We all got used to that during COVID, and, there's not agreement across the board from employers as to whether they want to continue this. But if you're struggling to find and retain talent, offering them flexibility is a good idea.
Step in the right direction.
Yeah.
And I think that's a good tactic because I don't know what your experience was in public accounting, but a lot of the work that I did alone in my cubicle. And so I just as easily could have been doing it alone from my house. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're also trying to give them higher value work. This is something we've talked about a little bit before with our AI episode. I do see public accounting firms really trying to leverage these advances in technology to take some of the quote unquote grunt work away from the human employees and have it done by the robots, so that the even the entry level staff can spend more of their time doing stuff that's a little bit more creative and relies on their decision making skills and things like that, and not filling out spreadsheets or manipulating tax return data in a terrible software program.
Yep. So yeah, giving a better experience, really, both learning and professionally, and just day-to-day experience for workers.
So it's a big problem.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that there's a silver bullet answer here.
But again, paying them more won't hurt things.
It's not a step in the wrong direction.
Right.
All right, so time for the good, the bad, and the ugly. I'll try to start off with the good here.
Okay.
And I'll say that, we know there's a problem. And so we're trying to talk about ways to solve the problem.
Okay. You got to acknowledge a problem as the first step towards finding a solution. So, yeah.
I mean, if there's a problem, I'll solve it.
I think it's also good, not only are we talking about it, but like schools and accounting firms are talking about it and trying to do something about it.
Totally. So for example, at IU, we are really trying to get away from the perception that these classes are boring.
Yep.
By making them less boring.
Yes.
And I think we're having some success. We've done a lot of different things in our intro to accounting class where we're talking more about how accounting supports and interacts with other parts of a business. We're really not hitting them over the head with debits and credits as first year college students. And I think that's a step in the right direction too. I'll also say that if really at the root cause of it, we have an image problem, that's probably one of the better problems to have, because it's something that we can take efforts to reverse.
That's true.
Like, I don't think there's something structurally wrong with I don't think there's anything wrong with me. I don't think there's something so structurally wrong with the accounting profession that it can't be fixed. I think a lot of it is just we don't seem cool.
Yeah.
And
we really don't.
We really don't. Maybe we can try to fix that. Okay, how about the bad?
I mean, I just think until you fundamentally fix the economics problem, you can't fix the problem. You can't convince people to rationally enter into a negative NPV project.
Great point. So there's two ways we can fix that. We can either give the people who are doing it more money, so make accounting a more lucrative paying profession, or we can lower the costs to entering the accounting profession.
Yep. And those costs, like all these certifications and all these requirements, all these hoops that you have to jump through, historically, this is used by professions to limit entry on purpose. Like they want to protect their own position and protect their own wages. I think we could say that the CPA and the 150 hours and all of that at this point has been too successful at limiting entry into the profession. Yeah, right? Maybe it's time to back off.
That's a really interesting perspective. There's also, I don't know the total details of it, but in Canada, I was learning about how they have more of like an apprenticeship program. So like, yes, you get your master's degree, but you also have like a whole semester off where you go and work. And so you're making money during that time period and you're learning during that time period. So I wonder if there's another way to do this. Like you have to work 2 years before you sit for the CPA exam. And maybe that could be in lieu of this 30 additional credit hours at the graduate level that we need. I don't know.
I love that idea.
We could get creative. Okay, so the ugly, we said that one thing that accounting firms could do is raise their salaries. And we got to be fair. They have raised them, like we said. But it's just not enough. Some accounting firms have been quoted as saying that increased salaries aren't going to fix the problem. And I think we've acknowledged that. It's not going to fix 100% of the problem. But what's going to fix 0% of the problem? Not raising.
Not
raising salaries. This is depressing.
This is incredibly depressing.
I think this has been less fun than an intro to accounting class.
Ouch.
Well, that's all we have time for today. Be sure to join us for more tax nerdery on future episodes of Taxes for the Masses.